Hello, everyone. My name is Brendan Marr. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator. And welcome to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. Today is a day we wait for every year. Well, not really, but, some people do. And that, of course, is International Talk Like a Pirate Day. Yarr. That's my pirate voice for you. So, how could we apply this to Star Wars? Well, I think today would be a great day to talk about the scum and villainy of the Star Wars universe. Pirates, smugglers, bounty hunters, and other various ne'er-do-wells that inhabit the dark corners of that galaxy far, far away. It was Obi-Wan who uttered the famous line, "You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy," referring, of course, to Mos Eisley. Mos Eisley Spaceport. Yet again, a terrible Obi-Wan Kenobi impression. But what is it about these ruffians and ne'er-do-wells that grab our attention? Well, I think it's the same attraction that we feel to pirates. There's that romantic notion that we have. Now, in real history, we know that real pirates, or the pirates that we like to think of, were not as lovable as we make them out to be. But there is a romantic notion we have. And I think that our greatest example in Star Wars is Han Solo. It's Lando who refers to him as an old pirate. Han fits that archetype and that sort of lovable yet irascible pirate archetype. The type of guy who's only interested in himself, but occasionally his heart shows through. And he does the right thing and saves the day. He's kind of... Jack Sparrow is another recent example of this kind of character. And often... Now, Han never changes allegiance. But many of these ne'er-do-wells in Star Wars do often switch allegiance. As often as Jack Sparrow does in the first Pirates of the Caribbean film. It's definitely it definitely fits into that romantic archetype that we have. Now, Han Solo, of course, is probably the most famous of this bunch. But others, you have Lando. You have Tobias Beckett from Solo, who's probably one of my favorite characters. Actually, he is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I listed him. Brought to life by the wonderful Woody Harrelson, who seems to be all over the place right now. But Beckett is definitely that pirate archetype. The kind of guy who switches allegiances, who's lovable yet ultimately lovable yet flawed. The kind of guy who's got a good heart, but sometimes he just, he puts his faith in the wrong types of people. And also, meets an interesting end, having more or less kidnapped Chewbacca and trying to steal the coaxium. Kind of out for himself, even though we desperately wanted him to be a good guy. But definitely a pirate. Another pirate type that we do not see in the films is Hondo Ohnaka. Hondo Ohnaka first appeared in Star Wars The Clone Wars as a pirate causing nothing but a headache for Obi-Wan and Anakin. Also, in Seven Samurai style, he was harassing a group of villagers who hired the Jedi to help them defend themselves in an episode dedicated to Kurosawa, the director of Seven Samurai. Hondo then went on to become a beloved character in Star Wars, appearing in quite a few episodes of the Clone Wars, often shifting allegiance depending on what suited him. Interested, of course, in profit and adventure. And brought to life, of course, vocally by the current king of voice actors, Jim Cummings. The man who's the voice of Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Rainbow from The Princess and the Frog, and various other characters that the list is just too long to even think of. Bringing the character to life with a slight sort of Ricardo Montalban accent. If you don't know who Ricardo Montalban is, he is the Mexican actor who played, I believe he's Mexican, correct me if I'm wrong, who played Khan in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. So Jim Cummings, when he brought Hondo to life, speaks with an accent that reminds me of Ricardo Montalban's accent. In the fine Corinthian leather. Which, by the way, there is no such thing as Corinthian leather. Ricardo Montalban used to do car commercials, and he used to say that because he said it sounded like a good thing to say, even though there's no such thing. So, Hondo then, of course, reappeared in Star Wars Rebels. And currently, Hondo can be seen giving a mission briefing aboard the Millennium Falcon ride at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. Which is actually, Galaxy's Edge takes place around the same time as the sequel trilogy. And we first meet Hondo about, probably 21 years before the original trilogy, during the events in between episodes 2 and 3. So that means that Hondo's probably quite old at the time of his appearance at Galaxy's Edge. But I guess he's still doing his thing. So it's very interesting that we find ourselves so drawn to these characters. The list goes on and on. We could talk about how Boba Fett fits a little bit into this pirate world. Jabba the Hutt and others, just whether or not you actually want to call them pirates. But you could even argue that Enfys Nest is a pirate of sorts. So they're all engaged in acts of piracy. And we love them. We are so drawn to them. What is it about them? I think that there is something inherently charming in our minds about the rogue. Now, some of these roguish types in Star Wars are not good guys. It's not like they have hearts of gold deep down. You don't see that with folks like Jabba and Boba Fett or other bounty hunters. But with characters like Han, Lando, and Hondo, and even Maz Kanata to a certain degree, you see that deep down they have hearts of gold, even though maybe on the outside they appear rather crusty. I think that that's what we find so endearing about these characters. Kind of maybe in a way we hope that if we met them, they would like us. You know, I think maybe it's some of the similar feeling we have about the romanticized view of the mafia, mobsters, the idea that if we could get them to like us, we'd feel like $1,000,000. So I think that there is always going to be that element in Star Wars where these pirate types inhabit their corner of the galaxy. And I think it is highly likely that the Mandalorian, well, we already know it will, that the Mandalorian is going to focus heavily on this element of the Star Wars universe, which is something I think that we all find very intriguing. It certainly makes me wonder down the road if we're going to see more of Hondo or other new pirate-type characters. And I imagine we will, and I imagine that we're going to love them the same way that we love these older characters. And I'm sure that there's a lot coming our way that's going to give us these kind of characters that so many of us gravitate toward. So those are my thoughts on the Pirates of the Star Wars universe. Let me know what you think. Express your love of these types of folks that inhabit the corners of the galaxy. My name is Brendan Marr. That noise you hear is my ventilator. And thank you for tuning in to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. May the Force be with you.